What it do, homies? Today we have some more Ren. This time we're checking out Sick Boy episode 1. Now, what caught my interest is, of course, how he titled this, The Flame of Prometheus. Prometheus being one of the Greek gods that gifted fire to mankind, right? And Zeus punished him by having his liver eaten, and then it gets grown over and over and eaten again. And I believe, of course, he was freed, but I don't remember who he was freed by. And I only know this because of God of War. Learning Greek mythology from video games. It is possible to learn from video games. So interestingly titled, I wonder what he's trying to say here by calling it the Flame of Prometheus. Let's go ahead and shut up and turn it up. Cinematic. And it says episode 1 of Sick Boy. So wait, could he possibly be going back to the beginning? Beginning. Like first diagnosed or something.
Have you ever heard the story of Prometheus?
Why, yes.
Let me start somewhere near the end.
Interesting. Start somewhere near the end, right? So Prometheus gifted flame to humankind, which pretty much birthed, if you could call it that. I think it all depends on the theories that surrounds it, right? They kind of birthed civilization, right? Gave knowledge, because from fire you can learn all kinds of things like metalworking, blacksmiths, built civilization. So interesting, said start at the end of it.
After the Great Collapse, the sick were rounded up like rabid stray dogs. Those who were strong enough were put to work in subterranean farms. First, they would be stripped of all dignity afforded to a human. Then, their bodies would be decontaminated and purged of the stench from the surface. In order to create an effective cog, you must first bleed it of all autonomy and free will. He or she must stop being human and become a limb. Those who were deemed too sick for work were discarded. To keep them alive would only further drain the earth of vital resources. It was a kindness to let them die. For years, this is how the program would run. But, like many systems that came before it, it was at the mercy of chaos theory. Chaos theory is often misunderstood. It is an oxymoron, a determined element of chaos, one that can send a whole system spiraling into mayhem. There was a prophet.
Okay, before we get into this, I had to look up what the chaos theory was, because this is not my first time hearing the term chaos theory. And at some point, it was explained to me, but I wanted to look it up so I can, have some context to understand what's going on here on my first listen. So chaos theory, and apologies for those of you with big brains that are a lot smarter than I am, a scientific and mathematical field that studies the patterns and underlying laws of complex systems that appear to be random or chaotic. It focuses on how small changes in a system can lead to large differences in its behavior. Okay, small changes in the system. So maybe let me go back real quick.
Would run, but like many systems that came before it, it was at the mercy of chaos theory.
It was at the mercy of chaos theory, right? So this is a small change. It is a pattern, an underlying law that is accomplished, that appears to be random and chaotic. Okay.
Chaos theory is often misunderstood. It is an oxymoron, a determined element of chaos, one that can send a whole system spiraling into mayhem.
Yeah. Random or chaotic.
There was a prophecy. It told of a genetic anomaly, a human girl whose DNA harbored immunity to the virus, a blueprint for the future. For decades, the humans searched, setting up a global infrastructure of testing facilities in vain. With time, the candle of hope burnt down to a blackened wick. Whispers of the prophecy could still be caught traveling on the wind between members of the sick.
This is interesting, right? Because, members of the sick, you can kind of boil this down to pretty much society, pretty much kind of like how we live our lives, and how much of it is pretty much, governed by either the tools we use, the opinions of people. We lack the ability to kind of form our own thoughts, if you will, right? Becoming a cog in a machine, right? A manipulator, puppeteer type people who's kind of like pulling your strings, but giving you the illusion of free will, right? Looking at this video, it's obviously more heavy handed, follow me, I'm going to do this for you. But, there are people that are very good, systems that are very good at manipulating. So, turning you into a cog. So when he says, members of the sick, and talking about some type of prophecy or some type of hero that's coming in. Oh, now that I'm thinking about the story of Prometheus, right? The person who freed Prometheus from the torment that was going on and on and on and on, came and freed him. That hero, well, I'm forgetting his name, going back to the Greek mythology, freed him from that torment. Maybe he was the person that Prometheus was seeking to end his torment, and that whole entire liver eating and happening over and over and over again as a form of punishment. Yeah, that was pretty much a cog. It was something that was going on and on. I'm kind of just throwing things out there, man. This is fun.
Whispers of the prophecy could still be caught traveling on the wind between members of the sick. Rivaling factions saw it as nothing but a dying superstition. Others clung to it like an amulet of hope. The rich and the elite, of course, used it as a method of control.
Okay. So that goes back to tying in what I was saying earlier, puppeteers, illusion of control, that you have control when really you're really just doing exactly what they wanted you to do. They just made you think that you were doing it also on your own free will, on some Inception type stuff. They're throwing out little figs, throwing out little leaves of hope. Going back to the story of Prometheus, I can imagine maybe there's probably a bunch of times that Zeus then came down there and started talking to Prometheus and say, you know what, man, maybe if you go through this 2 more times, right, I might let you, I might let you live. And then you grasp onto that hope before the same thing just keeps happening over and over again. So you just start looking for ways of coping, if you will. Sometimes that coping just turns you docile, right? Immune to it, because you feel like there ain't nothing you can do about it until freedom arrives.
Desperation is a powerful drug. Above fear, above loyalty to the party, the Dominion understood this and used it to their advantage.
This ties into Ren's last song. Isn't that the same chair that he was sitting in? Oh man, Ren, what are you doing here, bro? A story is unfolding.
If you strip man of his basic needs, with enough time, he becomes a beast. Without shame and without morality. Primal. How ironic that the creations and brilliance of man should reduce him to his primal state.
Ooh, how ironic that the creations and brilliance of man should reduce him to his primal state. Right? With us and our infinite wisdom, we have both the ability to push forward and be reduced by our own hands, actually.
I guess with time, everything returns to source. While it was still part of protocol to test every subject for immunity to the virus, the outcome was predictable. There was no suspense. Any hope that testing would bear fruit died years ago. That is until we introduce chaos theory.
So this must be, it's possible that what's happening here might be the small change in the system that can lead to a large difference, right? So if you got something that's going on in that one prophecy, or that one, it's essentially one person can make a difference in a huge complex system. Just the smallest thing. So they're rooting that out. Oh man, guys, this wasn't even, it was just a story. We got something magical unfolding in front of our eyes. What does that say? Sick. Oh. SKSLKD. I can't make it out. Guys, this was episode 1, bro. Ren, what are you doing, man? What do we got going over here, man? Come on, you can't leave us like that. Now, look, I know I probably misunderstood some things here, but obviously I'm gonna communicate some of this stuff with you guys down in the comments. I'm very interested in knowing what your thoughts were on this video, and it is also possible that maybe I just completely misunderstood the chaos theory. It's like some of the things where I have to like read it and then make a summary of it to myself to make sure I understand it, because that's how you know when you master something, when you can take something complex and you can explain it in its basic forms to people. That's how you know you have a good understanding of it. And I'm not there yet, right? 'Cause this stuff is unfolding in front of me as I'm watching it for the first time, but I'll get it in due time. But let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Dave's out.